Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Mia Verde channel. Welcome to my channel, y'all. It is so great to have y'all here. This is my first time vlogging, so I am so excited, and I want to share my experience with workplace burnout. I want to talk about workplace burnout and the importance of why we need to work through and overcome it. I am a 25-year experienced organizational development professional. In layman's terms, that is high level HR, learning and development. But yes, and so I have been in corporate America for a very long time, and I have recently experienced overcoming burnout for the first time. I've experienced burnout for the first time and overcame it for the first time. And I really wanted to talk about how this is plaguing us, especially as a woman of color in corporate America in an executive role. And I thought it was very important to come on and talk to my sisters about the importance of taking care of yourself, some of the factors that help you thrive and overcome it. I wanted to talk about why it was so important through my experiences, and some factual data that workplace stress is killing us. It's killing us. It's robbing us of the fullness of life. It's robbing us of fulfillment. It's robbing us of our families. It's robbing us of potential, and so many other things. I really wanted to create a channel where women of color, executive women of color, professional women of color can come together and heal from the trauma that we experience in corporate America. And if you don't think that's real, click off right now. B, in a faith-based way. I am a faith-based person, and I would not have been able to overcome my workplace burnout had it not been for my faith. So if you are a woman of faith, then welcome. You are in the right place. If you are not, all are welcome as well. The goal here is to create a community that builds off of each other, thrives off of each other, and we can tap into and operate it as our highest selves. And that is my goal. My goal is to create a community of women who love what they do, who are operating in their purpose, who have reached transcendence, and are able to work full on in their purpose and impact the lives of others. So that is the reason, and that is my why. Those are my goals, and I am so glad you have joined me here today. Today, I want to talk about a good thing versus a God thing. What did workplace burnout look like for me? I want to talk about what it is. Burnout can show up in many forms for different people. For me, and in my experience, it showed up in a decline in wanting to do what once fulfilled me. It showed up in a lack of energy and enthusiasm for life and the work that I did. And not only the work that I did, I was empty inside. I was so stressed out that on a daily, I found myself not being able to do normal tasks that I used to do, like cleaning the house, talking on the phone to loved ones, any kind of exercise or movement. I found myself 70 pounds heavier than I am today. So it was weight gain. I was lethargic. When I went to the doctor, I found that my blood pressure was high and spiraling out of control. There were lots of things internally that were beginning to happen, where I finally had to say, depression was huge too. And I finally had to stop and take control over my life. The stress had taken over. The stress had taken over in that season for me. And I had to take a stand and say, if you don't stop this, it will kill you. It will kill you, and this is no laughing matter. This is not just you're strong, you'll get over it, it'll pass. I had to make some serious intentional efforts and take steps to make my life better. So today we're going to talk about, a good thing versus a God thing. And I want to start this vlog off with that because I think it's important to point out, first and foremost, that the roles that you are in as successful, as driven, and as educated, brilliant, smart women who have climbed the corporate ladder, they 9 times out of 10 are good things. You went in with good intentions. You went in with good planning and with purpose and goals for your career, and they were good things. But I wanted to talk about the difference between a good thing and a God thing. Is it, or was it, or depending on what stage you are in your journey, was it God's purpose for you? Is it the reason that you are here on this earth? Is it your assignment from God and who He built you and molded you to be? Or was that season in your life preparation for something higher and something bigger? I found from my own experience, I can say that my burnout came as a result of misalignment with my purpose. My burnout came as a result of being misaligned with God's purpose for my life. When I found myself shutting out my family, shutting out my loved ones, and spending, weekends and any time off in bed, not wanting to get up and do anything, I realized that I no longer had the confidence in what I was doing. And when I say confidence, not that I didn't think I had the skill level, I found myself at a place where I no longer had the confidence that what I was doing mattered, that there was any hope for impact in what I was doing. And I knew that what I was doing may have not been exactly what God had called me to do. In some fashion or form, maybe it was a watered down version, but it was absolutely as far away from what I had been doing previously, when I had totally been in alignment and had been filled and fulfilled and happy. It was the total opposite of what I had been doing. So I guess the question would be, well then how did you get into doing something? How did you get into a role in corporate America that was, most people started that way and they found themselves there. If I was working in my purpose initially, how did you find yourself not working in your purpose, right? To put it simply. Well, I will be totally honest. I think I had come to a place where my timing was not God's timing. And I began to feel as if I should be further than I was. And today, looking back on the impatience that caused, I now know that I have taken myself even further back, made myself, in theory, because I'm going to tell you the reality in a minute, but I, in theory, have wasted even more years. And who knows how far I would have been if I did not pause. I don't say give up, because at the time I didn't think I was giving up. I thought that I was taking a break. I thought that I was taking a break from purpose, and it was my impatience that allowed me to take an opportunity that was a good opportunity. It was a good opportunity, but I can't say that it was necessarily a God opportunity in that moment, because it took me away from what I needed to be doing. So, but it was what I thought would be an easy way to take a break. It was, an easy opportunity for me initially, and I did it because I grew weary. I grew weary in well-doing, and now I'm on the other side looking at the lessons I've learned. But let me tell you the great thing about God. The great thing about God is that he wastes nothing. He wastes nothing. And so what I think it was a waste or a delay for the years that that I went back to corporate America and was, out of alignment with my purpose, he used to prepare me. And he's going to use my experience to help prepare you too for what's next. So I am super excited about that. And for that, I give him glory. And I'm so happy that that I'm able to recognize and be grateful for the good and the bad and the learning. And now I can be even more in position to do what he's called me to do. So to not be as vague, I hope that wasn't as vague, but I say that to say, at the time when I wanted to take that break, and why did I grow weary? Why did Mia Verde grow weary? Well, to give you a little background about me, I was, again, I told you I've been in corporate America for probably about 25 years. At that time, probably about 6 years ago, I had been an organizational development consultant. And so I was an entrepreneur. I owned my own business. I was consulting and I was doing very well with the consulting. I did a lot of workforce development. I did a lot of talent management. And I was very fulfilled helping people find their roles and be successful, right? Helping them grow in their skills and in their development, and helping them find careers and positions that were in alignment with their calling. That was very successful for me. Outside of that, I did private coaching, and I did career transition coaching for women. That was successful, and I enjoyed doing that as well. And then my third business, I did own a boutique. I still own a boutique to this day. It is online, but I owned a boutique. I had a private studio, and I did private styling. And you're probably saying, those three businesses, do they even, how do they go together? How'd you do all three? To me, the message was the same. I was impacting women in a way to where I helped empower them and encourage them and help them discover their highest selves, right? It was the lifting up of the self-esteem and building up women from the inside and the outside. The inside being development, coaching, whatever you needed, and the outside was your appearance, your self-esteem, styling you for the person that God made you to be. If you got a new role, a new position, what is your new wardrobe for your new title gonna look like? And it was very fun. It was wonderful. It was absolutely wonderful, and I did all three, and I loved it. Then the pandemic hit, and it's not to say that business did slow down, but I got tired. I think it was a mental adjustment. More than business slowing down, it was a mental adjustment for me, because I was dealing with, again, some great successes in my business, but I wasn't as far as I thought I should have been. So at the time, the devil's crafty. The devil's crafty. I was presented at the time, one of my consulting clients turned into my employer because our contract was over. They did not want me to leave, and they gave me an offer. They actually created a position for me, and created an offer for me that I just thought was I couldn't turn down, and it was a chance for me to relax. So I thought it was a chance for me to relax. But I ultimately ended up being promoted into a leadership executive position, and that's when a lot of my stress started to come on. Not because I couldn't handle the position, but more so because the demand was so high and the expectations were out of alignment. And I learned a lot about the organization I was working for. And we'll get into, the three-prong approach to healing from burnout, but I just wanted to give you a little context and some preliminary background of how my journey started and how I even got into the position to be susceptible to burning out. And so that's a little bit, I don't want to go too deep into my story, but that's my story. That's how I ended up. I was working in purpose. I dipped my toe out for a minute and fell into something else. And years later, I ended up experiencing tremendous burnout and had to reset and reposition myself for God's purpose for me. And now I am here sharing my experience with you, sis, because I do not want you to have to go through any of that. And I think it's so important for us to come together and help each other heal where we can. So make sure you like the video, subscribe, share. If you are a professional woman of color that can relate, please feel free to join. And I want to be able to build a community and post and things like that, tips and tricks and things where we can encourage and uplift each other to be successful. And I mean, we're going to redefine a definition of success, right? To be successful and discover our highest selves together. That is my prayer. That is my goal for this channel. So is that enough for today? Let me see. Did I have everything else? Oh, I do want to talk about one more thing before I go. So that is my intro for my vlog number 1. I wanted to talk about, I was reading a book called The Burnout Fix. Dr. Jacinta Jimenez. I think I'm pronouncing that right, hopefully. But one of the terms that she referenced in the book, and it's called the Burnout Fix. It's called the Burnout Fix. One of the things that she referenced was a term called self-efficacy. And she did not coin this term. I think it was coined by a psychologist named Albert Bandura. And I had never heard of that term before, self-efficacy, but when I started looking into it more, it made total sense. Self-efficacy is an individual's belief in their own ability to succeed, right? So in other words, it is your confidence in your ability to complete a task successfully, succeed in it, and succeed in it, I guess I would say. But the correlation between burnout, stress, and self-efficacy was very interesting to me. The higher your self-efficacy, meaning your belief in success and your ability to complete a task successfully, the lower your chances of being susceptible to burnout, right? And I started thinking about, and then I guess vice versa, the lower your self-efficacy, the higher your chances for burnout. And I started thinking about back to when my burnout started. It was at a time where the demand for my position was growing, or for my responsibilities in my position was growing very, very rapidly. And I started to feel like I wasn't making an impact because the demand was, in my mind, it was unreasonable, and it was coming from multiple places. And I had prided myself on being, my mental fortitude and being so successful and experienced in my role previous years. I do this, right? And so the fact that I found myself in a place where I was struggling keeping up with the demand and the hyper connectivity that the workplace now demands. And I say that when I say hyper connectivity, our workforce in itself is changing, right? Companies are operating leaner with leaner staff, leaner resources, cutting back. Your plate gets fuller and fuller, and you're doing, how many of you can say I'm doing the job of 2-3 people, and they're expecting me to do it in this timely fashion, right? That is unreasonable for me. And I think when you pride yourself on mental fortitude, and I'm strong, and people equate sometimes burnout with being weak, and that is absolutely not the case. I think corporate America normalizes working yourself to death. I think corporate America normalizes sacrificing your personal self. They thank you for your sacrifice. They thank you to, whereas if you're not setting boundaries, you are looked at as someone who is uncommitted, who is not capable of going the extra mile, and those things are rewarded in corporate. And I think it's a backwards mentality for us to work ourselves into autoimmune diseases and depression and disconnection from our family and our father for the sake of someone's profit, for the sake of, even if you work in a nonprofit world, for the sake of someone else. Again, that's if you are out of alignment and misalignment with your purpose. There are boundaries that absolutely should be set, but if you're the only one setting them, you look like you're not doing your job, or you're not committed, right? You're not the one willing to go that extra mile, and there goes that next promotion. People are talking. So yeah, so I wanted to talk about self-efficacy because, again, it is your ability. If you start to feel like things are hopeless, if you start to feel like there's no way I'm going to be able to do this, or you don't see change, maybe you feel like you're on a treadmill, which I found myself feeling that way. You feel like maybe you're on the treadmill, everything you're doing is not working, is not going to be have the impact that it needs to have in order to be successful, in order to make a difference, then your self-efficacy starts to go down. I talked about in another vlog, I want to talk about imposter syndrome. I think self-efficacy and imposter syndrome go hand in hand. That begins to creep in to where you start to question your own ability. I think as a woman of color, I absolutely know what it feels like for my every decision to be scrutinized and questioned. Every move I make, everything I say, to be questioned. And so having had that experience, again, you can only, kind of stand in the face of that with confidence so much. And it'll be the perfect storm if all of these factors are working against you simultaneously, and you have to, at some point, start to break down and begin to question your own skill and ability. And again, so imposter syndrome kind of creeps in, and self-efficacy lowers. And as that lowers, the stress starts to increase. So I'm going to stop there. Hey, please comment down below. Have you experienced any of this? How do you feel about your confidence in your corporate role? How do you feel about your stress levels? Are you experiencing burnout? Have you experienced burnout in the past and you have overcome it and you are now thriving, healthy, and happy? Please subscribe and comment below. I am going to end the vlog here. I think that's probably enough for our intro. I hope that made sense. But I am so excited to start this series with you. And so show me some love. I can't wait to hear from you. Have a great day. Bye.